Hey, what's going on today, guys? So what we're going to be breaking down today is why your Facebook leads might not be buying from you. It's a very misconception that Facebook does not work anymore these days because all the leads are bad quality, when in reality, all it is there's something wrong between once somebody becomes a lead and then once they book an appointment with you, right? Because a lot of times, sometimes you're probably reaching out to these leads and they don't even know who you are. And what it really ends up coming down to, and we're going to kind of break it down here, is it's based upon timing and all that kind of good stuff. So, but like I said, I'm going to break that down all for you guys here. So, why don't your leads turn into buyers? What ends up coming down to is, this is going to hurt your low conversion. It's going to give you low conversion rates. Obviously, we talked about this. Leads are not going to be responding, and your CPA is going to grow exponentially. Okay, and even some cases, I've talked to businesses where they've spent $5, $10, $20,000 on Facebook ads, or they might have went out there and bought an agency, and they just weren't getting the ROI. They're putting all this money in and just not getting anything in return. Okay, so more than likely, it's probably, if you're watching this, you probably feel the same way, and you kind of got to ask yourself, like, well, why is it? Because obviously there's different portions that a buyer goes through, and so you have to look at the data and ask yourself, okay, well, why is there such a large drop off between the lead and the book appointment? So, once somebody clicks a lead, most leads are usually left waiting for quite some time. Sometimes people will just send them to a lead form and then have somebody call them. A lot of agencies nowadays, what they're doing is they'll push people to like a lead form, they enter a CRM, and then they have a team of VAs that will go out there and call those people, like a call center. But in most cases, and a lot of times with even those call centers, is the time in between that they're calling the next lead is exponential, whether it be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And as you're going to see here, any lead response time longer than 10 minutes could decrease your conversion rates by 80%. And by conversion rates, I'm talking booked appointments. So what you have to think of is, all right, well, I only have really 10 minutes to get in there and actually start that conversation, because every moment past that is going to hurt you, right? And that's one of the big reasons why there's been this huge drop-off of leads lately, just because, that time differential is so important. And this is 10 minutes, guys. We're not even talking about, in some cases with some businesses, that they're not reaching out to 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, sometimes even 24 hours, which is kind of incredible. Poor lead qualification. So businesses waste a lot of time following up with unqualified leads who lack budget. Maybe sometimes they're just trying to go for quantity at the beginning. And there's obviously a lot of people you're probably talking to that are just not qualified. So not only are you having leads not show up to appointments, but in addition to that, it's just the quality is not there. Lack of personalization. So, one of the things that people are starting to become more and more aware of is that they're always being sold on these platforms. So one of the things that really sticks out is if you can be a little bit more personalized and just different from the rest, it sits well with your audience and with the people that are scrolling on social media these days, because it sounds more personal. But you kind of ask yourself, well, how do I do that? Because obviously you got to run a business at the end of the day, and you have places to be, and you can't spend all the time in the DMs and on sales calls, phone calls, or whatever the case is, just because you just don't have that much time. So, one of the most traditional means, right, is manual follow-ups. We talked about that. Somebody submits a form and then has to actually go out there and talk to them. Other ways that you guys are probably generating leads is just through forms, instant forms. Instant forms are good if you want to try to get some quantity coming in there, but again, it could result in a long time before they even hear back. You can have some automation, some SMS automations, like once somebody fills out an instant form and then they have to go to a landing page to then book an appointment. That system also works relatively well. But again, for a lot of companies that are just starting, you guys might not have the budget to test out landing pages and seeing what works and what doesn't work. Not to mention, every time you add more questions onto your long form content, you're going to reduce the amount of people that are filling out. We've actually did some research on this. So every additional question that you add on an instant form actually reduces your completion rates by about 5 to 10%. Forms with 3 to 5 questions perform 50% better than those with 10 plus. Obviously, it's just because you're getting more people that are more quality by adding more questions in there. But instant forms is not the worst thing in the world, but it is something that there are better options, and I'll kind of get to that later. And then obviously video sales letter. So that's another way people are generating leads, but people don't understand that VSLs cost a lot of money because you have to think there's a lot of things that can go wrong in between somebody filling out or seeing your ad, clicking on your ad, going to your VSL, your funnel, and then what you say in the VSL. There's a lot of things. I mean, sometimes VSL sales letters can be anywhere between 5, 10, 20, 30, in some cases like upwards of almost an hour VSL. So you're talking like there's a lot of parts that can go wrong in this process, and so with the more variables, you can see cost per bookings upwards of $600 plus. Right. Obviously, it depends on like what your price point is, but even then, it's one of the most expensive ways to run traffic. Now, the good part about VSLs, and I'm not like pushing this under a rug, it's going to be quality appointments. So if you end up wanting to run a VSL, at some point it's great, but the thing is, you have to think of we need quantity through the door before we can add friction. Right? Quantity before friction. Because as we add friction, and what I mean by friction, adding questions, VSLs, because that's going to really filter down the people that you're going to be speaking to. And with that, it's just going to allow you to have better quality leads that you're going to be talking to. So what is the best solution out there? Okay. And what I have found is a AI-powered DM automation system. Okay. So if you're in the Facebook Ads Manager, and when you're filling out how you want to create your lead campaign, you want to select, once you go into the lead campaign, $30-50 a day. And then what you're going to do is you're going to direct all the traffic to Messenger. Okay. So why are we doing that? Well, it's pretty straightforward. So Messenger, you're going to be prompted to ask like automation questions. They will be automated, but you can, through a lot of the CRMs now, and if you're really good with Zapier, you can connect AI bots to really manage those conversations for you. So instead of you having to go in there and have the conversation, because most stereotypical means of Messenger is you're going to send them to the Messenger, and then in Messenger, they're going to answer a couple automated questions. And then once they answer those automated questions, they will either be qualified or not qualified. And then from that point, you pick up the conversation. You have an appointment setter yourself, or somebody else has that conversation and carries that on to booking an appointment. But the thing is again, if you hire on an appointment setter, you're taking a risk that they don't know what they're doing. Right. You have high fluctuations on how well certain appointment setters are. And then not to mention, you're going to have to pay 5-10% of your sales and your profits over to your appointment setter. So obviously your appointment setter can't work every hour of the day. Sometimes they obviously have a life. So you have to deal with that. And then you yourself, you're busy. You can't be in the DMs all day. So one of the best ways to do this is connect in an AI powered instant messenger in there to have that conversation for you. Right. So what we found is that businesses that respond within 1 minute see a 391% increase in lead conversion. Crazy. 391% by having a response in 1 minute. And the cool part is it's going to do this every single time, consistently, time over time over time over time over time. So now instead of having like ebbs and flows when you have like an appointment setter, now you have consistency. You can plan, okay? Which means now you can kind of take that piece out almost where you're focusing on the ads, getting the traffic, and then you know like, hey, if I push this much traffic, this is how many bookings I'm going to get, okay? And not to mention, that's when somebody's in the mindset. So when they start that conversation in the DMs, that is the closest they are in the emotion of buying something, right? Because in that moment, especially if your ad resonates with them, they're going to be so close to buying. They're going to want to buy just because like you hit on their pain points. You talked about everything that they might have been struggling with. And that's the time that you want to really hone in, right? So I kind of talked about the AI bots. I mean, you can have them ask certain questions, prompting certain questions, depending on how well and sophisticated you are. I mean, we specialize in it. We have like our own bot setups and everything that we utilize for all of our clients, but it makes it very easy. So it sounds exactly very human, just as you would be talking to me, right, in a conversation. Obviously, it's going to be saving hours. It's going to be saving you tons of money at the end of the day. Keeps it quite seamless, right? Once people are qualified, especially if you have like Go High Level or something or another CRM, you can have other automations, obviously making sure that people show up to their appointments. And the cool part is you can make sure that even with the bots inside Messenger are also keeping that conversation at a consistent flow to keep people engaged, right? And obviously you want to make sure that you're booking these people within 24, 48 hours from the time that they go ahead and book the appointment, right? So one of a client that we gave the system to was using the system, reduced their cost per acquisition by 30%. Okay, and increase their bookings by 50% within just 60 days, which is kind of crazy. And it's surprising that a system that's so simple like yields such great results. And really at the end of the day, one of the things that obviously we do better than traditional systems, but it's a cheaper version of having to go out there and test VSLs and test instant forms and whatnot, right? Because one of the best things about sending people to the DMs is you'll actually get one of the cheapest cost per leads than any of the other means, instant forms and with VSLs. You're going to get one of the cheapest cost per leads and cost per bookings. And that's just time and time and time again, which allows you to have a little bit more money to go out there and test more ad creatives, test more portions of your system. And then once you're ready to take it up, I mean, you could easily run a company up to 100K plus per month just by utilizing this system, right? And that's how powerful this system is. And then not to mention, you can go out there and utilize a lot of that money, right? Once you dial in the ads, dial in the offer, is then start adding in the VSL at some point. You can even have that conversation in the DMs and then get people redirected to the VSL to watch that, to then book an appointment. You could do that as well to make sure that they're even more qualified. But yeah, one of the other ways that you can go ahead and test the VSL and see how it works is what I would recommend, and this is what we've done with some of our clients, is we'll push them to a pre-booking call that's going to be a tested VSL that we're going to be utilizing for our actual funnel. One of the things that we like to do with that is just to see how much that they learn before they even get on the call. Does that make them more qualified? But you can see there's a lot of pieces that we're testing here. So if you guys are having the issue of your just lead quality is just not there, I recommend giving this a shot. Make sure, and the thing is too, is if you don't have AI available to you, just having that conversation yourself, getting somebody to go into your DMs and manage all those appointment bookings, that's super easy too. You can easily go on some Facebook groups and hire on an appointment setter and pay them, a yield percentage of however much obviously you want to give them. So if you guys have any other questions, I'm going to link this sheet below so you can download that if you want. If you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about how these AI funnels work and how this all comes together, I'm also going to link below a application so you can work one-on-one with me as well, or at least kind of get an idea of what we do. You can click that below as well. So and if you guys want any more questions, I can honestly probably build out one of those Facebook funnels for you guys here on YouTube if you guys want me to. Just comment AI funnel below, and so that way I can kind of get an idea of if you guys want me to make that as another future video. So without further ado, pleasure talking to you guys. I'll catch you all later. Peace, y'all.